Hi everyone! So today I'm going to show you how to make a single layer card using Lawn Fawn's new Christmas Fishes stamp set and some Copic markers. So let's get right to it and start stamping and masking our images. So I'm going to start by stamping our little Christmas tree that's made out of seaweed, I guess, and kelp maybe also. And I left the sentiment on the top of the card panel just so that I could make sure that I didn't stamp in a spot where the sentiment was going to need to be later. And I didn't want to stamp the sentiment on just yet because then when I do the Copic background, the ink could have bled. So I wanted to do that last. So that's just kind of how I did it to make sure I didn't stamp over where I'm going to put the sentiment later. So now I am putting on my masks on all of our little images, and I'm being sure to make sure that I get them on nice and accurately. I've got some questions on Instagram lately about how I do the masking, and the answer is just be very precise with your cutting and with your placement. Now we're going to add our background, and our background is going to be a nice simple wash of some Copic colors with an ombre effect. So we're going to have B21 at the top, B00, BG10, and then E30 and E31 at the bottom. And that makes a really, really nice pastel background for your ocean scenes because you have the ocean floor that's represented by the beige tones, and then you have the water and the area where the water meets the sand, represented by those blue-green and then the blue shade at the very top. So this, when I'm trying to make a card pretty quickly or when I can't quite think of what kind of background I want to use, this tends to be my go-to for ocean scenes, just doing a wash like this with those colors or similar colors. You could also get the same effect if using some darker Copic markers. So if you wanted your ocean to be darker, you could maybe start at the top with some B39 or B99. And then at the bottom, use some darker shades like E35 and E37 as your darkest, and that would give you a darker ocean if that's your preference. But for this scene, I just wanted something kind of nice and pastel because we're going to add a lot of color with our little characters here. And I just love the little jellyfish and the little crab. I love that they're singing. Our sentiment is going to say, "We fish you a Merry Christmas," which I think is just adorable. Then we have our little presents that are all strewn here and there beneath our little kelp Christmas tree. And we're going to color in the bows there with my favorite red combination, which is R29, R24, and then a little dot of R39. And then we're just going to color in the little shells with some blue violets and the little gift packages with some blue greens. And then for the hats, I'm going to add my highlight color with a YR12, and then I'm going to add a little shadow where the creases are with my darkest marker, just because we want the creases to look like creases in the hat, and you get that effect by using a dark marker on the crease area with light markers around it. So that's why I did that. And then for the little crab, we're going to color him in with some lighter red tones just so that he stands out a little bit from his red hat. And then once we finish with the little crab, we're going to move on to our little jellyfish here on the left. And I think our little jellyfish is a female. I'm not sure why, I just got that feeling. So I decided to color her in pink with some RV52 and then RV55. And then her little tentacles hanging down, I used some lavender shades with the BV60 and BV63, just kind of going in like an ombre pattern so that the tips of her little tentacles are darker and the part closest to her body is light. For little fishes, we're going to color them in with some BG72 to 78 for the little guy up on the upper left-hand corner. And then for our little guy on the right-hand corner, we're going to use its BG90s for that. And I really like the way that those two colors play against each other. I think they're just the perfect color for little fish that you would find in the ocean, especially ones wearing cute little Santa hats like these little guys here. So now I'm just adding in some little mounds of sand around the little objects that are on the floor of the ocean. And to do that, I'm just going to put little specks of E34, some E31. So the lighter E30s are going to be towards the back of the scene, and the back of the scene is the part that is about a third of the way up the page. And then the bottom of the scene, the part that's closest to us, is going to be the part I'm working on right now, which is very, very close to the bottom of the page. And so those little sand mounds are going to be, I'm coloring them in darker than I am those little sand mounds that are farther back in the scene. And then I'm just darkening up the edges of our ocean floor with the E34. And then just going to fix some of the coloring on our little jellyfish here. Lighten up the center to make her little mouth stand out. Then we're going to add some highlights with a white gel pen. And I'm just putting little dots here and there on the kelp. And then on the ribbons for our little packages. And then I'm going to give some little white freckles to our little jellyfish and our little crab couple. And then some little dots on the star. And then that's about it. And so now we can move on to putting our whole card together and stamping our sentiment. So I'm going to take that "We Fish You a Merry Christmas" stamp, and it has a wavy design to it. And I just stamped that right towards the top of the scene. Then I added some bubbles and some little musical notes and some little hearts. And these are all stamps that are included in the "We Fish You or the Christmas Fishes" stamp set by Lawn Fawn. And for the bubbles, I'm just coloring them in with some darker blues than the blue in the background. And the blues I used were B45 and then some BG11. Then I'm going to add some little highlights on our bubbles and on our hearts. And then it's time to put the whole panel onto an A2 size card base. So that's all I have for you today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you give this card a try. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon in the next video.